We're rolling. Timer starts now. Mark. Hi, I'm Ford.
And I'm Sky. And these are not our real names. These are our superhero names, and with our powers combined, we formed the writing partnership L. Skyford. Welcome to Booklandia.
Today, we're going to review a book, most likely a romance. But before we get much further, did you know you can watch our faces do this episode by subscribing to us on Twitch at L. Skyford or YouTube at L.Skyford? You should really do it. We give good face.
And sometimes there's a dog bomb at Ford's house.
This is true. For our other socials, you can follow us on Twitter at SkyfordL, on Instagram at L.Skyford. And if you're interested in our book, blog, or even more book reviews, head over to our website, lskyford.com.
Lastly, this and every episode are chock full of oversharing and spoilers, and every episode is rated E for explicit. You have been warned.
I also want to warn everybody that I skipped my nap today. And I'm in a real weird mood.
Okay, all right. We have indeed been warned.
Haha! Suck it, Mercury!
No joke. Living the Mercury in retrograde situation over here. Yikes. So other than
Yeah, I was going to say, welcome to Booklandia. But other than that, welcome to Booklandia! Introduction. Pitch the book. First question.
Yes. So today we're talking about The Love Hypothesis by Hazelwood. And before we get into the book, Mercury is in retrograde. How are you feeling about that?
Well, I had my laptop and my phone crap out on me 4 days before it went into retrograde, so Mercury really likes me.
Well done.
It gave me a sneak preview of the bullshit.
Samesies over here, as my computer is currently so loud that I have to wear noise-canceling headphones to use it.
I would also mention the fact that you got rear-ended last week.
That happened?
Also big major.
Yes, that also happened. So we're doing excellent over here.
Here's hoping we're recording this podcast.
Oh my gosh, now I'm gonna check all the things. Yep. I think we're good. Yep. I think we're good. The light is on. Excellent.
Oh, the light is on. Yeah, great.
All right. So, very good. So we're going to talk about Love Hypothesis now, to just move us away from the thing.
Yeah, from the terribleness.
The terribleness. There is the cover. I also definitely need to show you the cover over here, nice and big. Yep. For those of you listening, it is a pale blue background with lab equipment on a table. It says The Love Hypothesis, and there is a couple kissing on the cover. Male-female couple. And his eyes are open, which we will come back to in a bit.
Yep, let's come back to it. Let's just skip now and jump right in later.
Yeah, great. Absolutely. Great. Okay, so I, because of some personal stuff going on right now, I have been a little absent from the script. So you very graciously wrote this. Do you want me to attempt to read it?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm so ready. I'm just gonna count myself in. All right.
Oh, this is gonna be great. 5, 6, 7, 8. No, go ahead.
PhD student Olive kisses the young, hot, grumpy professor Adam Carlson in order to show her BFF Anne that she's over the guy Anne has a crush on. The science-related flirting spirals from there as Adam agrees to fake date Olive because it will show the department that he's not thinking of leaving and therefore can release his research funding. But there isn't protective safety gear from the contagion they're catching. Feelings.
Ha ha!
Sorry, I was like, wait, what?
Yep. It was a tricksy one because I will reiterate, this mood is weird.
I enjoyed safety gear from the contagion, though I feel like we should have trigger warned that.
Yes, so sorry. Yep, you're right. So sorry, my bad. The cutesiness made me forget
the current moment.
About the current moment, yeah.
Fair enough.
So this book came out last month, September 14th, 2021. It's fresh. Still has that new book smell.
It sure does. It sure does. We won it in a NetGalley giveaway, so we both read it prior to. So if you want our naked review of it on our socials, scroll back through our feed a little bit and you will find it. Maybe we should repost it when this episode comes out. That could be a good idea.
Yeah, I could also just look and see what day we had posted it on. Like,
it's all good.
Helpful.
Okay, whatever. I want to jump right in, and I want to talk about the very thing you brought up in the recap. So his research funding from his academic institution is halted because his academic institution wants to see him settled in this institution, and then they would release the funding, which A, is bullshit on a level I cannot. Because one's settledness is not tied to necessarily whether or not they're coupled. It should not be.
Yeah.
Clearly it is for this academic institution. But I just want to make it clear that whether or not one chooses to have a partner or multiple partners in their lives or no partner should not have any kind of effect on whether or not they can conduct academic research.
You're absolutely correct. I completely agree. I, as a person, period, full stop. I was working at a theater company prior to and during and after I got married. And I noticed that there was a noticeable difference in the way that my boss, the production manager, treated me after I got married. And he was a white male. And I will tell you offline who that was. I'm sure you know. But like this is a thing. Like society, and maybe it's older society. Like maybe this is phasing out because young people are cool and open-minded about shit, but they expect that and they want you to be married or be settled or whatever, and that's not the current moment. Like folks aren't getting married, folks aren't heterosexual, folks aren't like sexual. So like what the fuck?
I mean, all the what the fucks. Also, his commitment and any person's commitment to their job, particularly a job they're passionate about, is not correlated to their sexual or emotional well-being outside of that research.
I would argue the better route would be for them to woo him into staying. Like he can go do that job anywhere, and that's what they're afraid of. So make it so he wants to stay instead of making it so he wants to leave.
So much of the like his side of this premise was really uncomfortable for me. We're in an industry where actually the inverse is true. And that people who are in committed relationships, people who are committed to starting a family, get passed over for jobs because there is an outdated belief that there isn't going to be as much of a commitment to the industry if you're also committed to other projects, which that is a soapbox I can stand on for a really long time, and I won't during this podcast, but just know that,
I want to stand on it for just a little bit because I think it was different for me because I was in a management position. So people wanted responsibility. I was being responsible. But then I also want to talk about how in the current moment, the role of Persephone in Hadestown, which is one of the biggest Broadway shows, is being dual split so that one of the women can have 2 nights off to spend with her young children. And like, this is a big deal. Like,
this is a
work-life
huge
balance
deal.
is happening.
I know. I'm so excited. So this is a very recent development, and it's not that she has an understudy. It's that there are two women who are splitting the role. Both of them get top billing, and they have an understudy in case either one of them can't perform on a scheduled night. This is humongous and wonderful. And I hope everyone catches this bug and immediately changes all of their policies so that people in entertainment feel like they can, that they don't have to choose their passion work over their life because that does absolutely feel like the case. Literally just had this conversation with someone. That's the soapbox. Please stop putting people in boxes. It's gross. Don't be weird.
Please stop. Yeah.
Please stop. Full stop.
Okay. So I know that you were really excited or interested in talking about all of the other reviews that talk about the sexism in this book. And so I was hoping you could recap that for people and drop in your thoughts, and then I'll also drop in mine.
Well, so one of the big comments that I read from others is that Olive does not believe in herself. And she does not feel her power and her prowess as someone with a really inventive idea until a man validates her smarts. And that without the man's validation, she can't feel, or she can't really take on the power, the intellect that is truly her own. Because this project that she's working on is actually one that she's been working on for so long that someone should have really pointed out that she is a genius in her own right. And she doesn't believe in that. And it's supposed to imply imposter syndrome, but somewhat problematically for some reviewers, Adam is the person that makes her break out of that imposter syndrome, setting up sort of a white male-centered story about a woman with a brilliant idea.
Mm-hmm. What are your opinions? What are your thoughts? Do you agree?
I do think that all of the women were secondary characters in this book.
Interesting. So
I mean, Anne is lovely and Olive is lovely, but they're both really passive. I mean, they're uppity. They're like loud, and they have these eccentric personalities, and they have their specificities, and that's really what I mean. They're quirky and they have loudness about them, particularly Anne, who strikes me as a very wild and colorful personality, but she's a secondary character, right? All we know of Anne is that she's colorful, and I mean that in like there's the brightness that comes from her, and she has weirdness about hooking up with her best friend's ex-person.
Yeah. I don't really agree. After reading the book, so you told me all this before I started, and so I was reading it with sort of a little bit of a microscope. I never really saw that, because I do agree that Olive is passive. I came at it from her backstory has really shaped her. Her mother died when she was 15. She was orphaned. She became emancipated at 16. She's only had herself. And as an incredibly introverted person, like, I get that. But I also see where this question is coming from, because her mentor, her professor, like, is supportive of her, but I always got the feeling like she dismissed that supportiveness because it was obligatory. And so perhaps Carlson's opinions, because they come out of the blue, matter more. I don't know. And also, like, doesn't it feel really nice to get a compliment from someone you respect and love?
Absolutely, yes. Yes, it's great to get a compliment, but it's sort of to me, it was the thing that propelled her forward. And
see, I didn't get that. Because it happens after her presentation, right? Like, that moment.
Yes.
She like did this whole presentation on her own. She was looking for research funding and looking for other places to do her studies on her own. She was already driven. I think we're trying to quantify how women perceive success, which is kind of a slippery slope.
Hard agree, and is sexist in itself, because, right, I agree.
Right.
I wasn't like, there are people who are really adamant about this and are like, yeah, another book where that's centered on a man's perspective. I don't feel that strongly about it. I see their point. I see what they're saying. There is a lot of his presence in her story. And it feels like her story because the chapters start with her hypotheses. So I feel like,
and it's from her perspective.
it's from her point of view. So there's a few moments where I wanted her to shine brighter than she did by comparison. And that actually gets into my next question. But before we get there, we're going to talk about why his eyes are open on the cover.
Yes, we're going to talk about that. I do want to point out that perhaps Allie Hazelwood was going for like a mousy thing, you know, like scientist, and she never does her like hair down, beautiful. Anyway, okay, so I want to just, here's what I find sexist about this. This is the very first page of the book. Thank you. It's the very first page, first scene, she kisses him. Like out of the blue, he doesn't know it's coming. Leave it up. Put it back.
Okay.
Put it back. Thank you. Okay. Her eyes are closed and his are open, but she initiates contact and he's the one who's already emotionally invested. Spoiler alert, sorry. So wouldn't his eyes be closed and hers be open because she is in control of the situation? This is the thing I find sexist, is like her eyes would be open and his eyes would be closed because he is swooning.
Well, and what I would say is that he's surprised by her actions, and he is, but she asks permission before doing it. And she doesn't give him a lot of time to think about it, but she does ask him if it's okay to kiss him, and then she kisses him.
Right. And as they kiss, he grabs her. He puts his arms around his hands on her ribcage. So like he's into it. And then the only other sort of mildly sexist thing I found in this book is he fell in love with her after he watched her cry, after he watched her sob. So like he got weak in the knees for her female tears. And I'm just like, bleh.
Is that a thing?
Bleh.
Is this like, a thing?
He can save her because she's weak with tears. I don't know.
And then they go out for bad sushi. Okay, yeah, sure. Sure, I see your point.
Oh, no. I'm talking about the prologue scene. Like that's when I assume he fell for her. Is this prologue scene.
In the prologue where she can't see, but so she's not actually crying because she's upset. She's crying because allergies or bad contact lenses.
Bad contact lenses. And that's the moment when he fell for her. So I don't know. I was like, come on. You gotta, I guess, love someone at their weakest. Fine. That's cool. That's actually pretty cool. Okay, it's cool. I've talked myself into it.
There you go.
Okay, your question.
So my question, to me, Olive was not a likable character. I could not really, the whole premise of having to convince her best friend that she doesn't have feelings for the other guy was so, like, the stakes were so high for something that is so low stakes. Because if you're really best friends and you say to your best friend, I'm not into this guy, go for it. If you're best friends, your best friend's gonna believe you, methinks, and do the thing. And you don't have to pretend make out with a professor to get out. Like the setup for the why of fake dating in the first place was so far-fetched to me. And Olive just wasn't a character that I connected with, but Adam absolutely was. And I so wanted to know what's happening in his brain and what he's thinking so much of the time that I wish this book was dual perspective. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's a romance novel, so impetus is going to be questionable to begin with. Like, I don't know. I think about all that bullshit all that like female mind games that I played in high school and college, where you're like, no, it's fine, go out with him, but actually secretly jealous. I think we, as 30-something adults, have gotten past that.
But she's not in high school. She's a doctoral candidate, so she's in her late 20s.
Okay, all right. let's say mid to late.
Sure,
yes.
if she's a prodigy and she like goes to college at 16, right. Sure, which I think that's possible. We sort of don't know. Yeah, because I think she mentions that she finished high school early, but not as early as he, because there's a conversation about him finishing high school early. But still, so she's in her right, because he is younger than he should be for a professor, and
like
she
34
is
or something.
Right.
And
so she's like 28 or 29. So she is not a high school or even a college student. She's a fully grown adult who lives on Cheetos.
Yes, because that's all the joy you can get out of life is a bag of Cheetos. I mean, as someone who regularly eats like a 13-year-old boy, I get it. I don't know. I didn't find her bland, but I do see, like, she just didn't pop. We've read better, nerdier girls, and I get that. I didn't, like, Carlson didn't pop any more or less for me. I think we get more because we get more from Olive's perspective, and she's so into him, so we, by proxy, become more into him and more invested in him. But it's also, and maybe this book just hasn't done it as well as we have read in other books. It's Olive doesn't know herself, and so she has to. Her journey is supposed to be her sort of figuring out a little bit more about herself, and we don't really get that in a really like locked in way. So it's like there's a little bit of a gray internal character arc that happens for Olive. So I get it. Olive is a demisexual, which I find really interesting, and very sort of new to that self term for herself. Do you think or hope that demi, gray, and asexual characters are on the rise? Why? And what would you like to see in romance with this trend?
So I absolutely think that more diverse stories are being included in mainstream romance recently. And I think it's fantastic because there've been demisexuals for as long as there've been people. There just hasn't been representation and identification for people who want to grab onto a descriptor for themselves and want that identifier, and to see representation in any form for anyone, right, is validation, and to be validated is wonderful. Do I think it's on the rise? Absolutely yes. Or at least, if not on the rise, then the books written for a diverse array and rainbow of people is becoming more mainstream in terms of it showing up on feeds, being advertised, being supported by the major publishing houses. Yes, absolutely. Yes. What else do I want to see in romance? Normalizing all of it and not having and I think this book does that in that it isn't a subgenre book. It doesn't like put itself into, it wouldn't go on a specialty shelf. It might go on
LGBTQ.
Right. It would go maybe on the women in STEM end cap for celebration of women in STEM, but it doesn't, right? It doesn't present itself, and it isn't published as a specialty title. It is just a romance title, and the character happens to be Demi, and I think it's wonderful. So that, can we keep that just like normalizing how people feel and how people are?
I think writers are also being clearer with their terminology now that this terminology exists. So, we might have been reading classic novels with demisexuals in it, but there wasn't that sort of terminology. And like, so a certain turn of phrase might clue us in, but maybe it's just not included at all. So who knows? So yeah, I agree. And I just wanted you to climb on top of that soapbox again and preach our canon to the people.
I know, right? This is the thing we brought up before. It's wonderful. Hooray. Shouted from every rooftop. Fucking hooray indeed. Okay. So this is my next question isn't a question. It's just what happened in the book. And what it says in the book is he put her whole boob in his mouth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
now, we previously learned she has very small boobs.
Yes. Also, so I feel like we should sort of address that entire sex scene, which has some cringy moments in it, but like good cringy. So internally to the sex scene, they try to get sexy. He has different ideas of what she's gonna find arousing than she does, and they run into stumbling blocks. And all of that I thought was really messy and wonderful to read, because with a new partner, sometimes you have a messy first time trying to figure out what works for you. But then the line about him putting her entire boob in his mouth threw me completely out of the scene, because I immediately needed a visual of what is happening and how big is his mouth.
I mean, he's a very tall man, so he must have a very big mouth. But
I mean, like,
she's like an A cup, so like there's barely anything there. And then if she's my height, she's 5'8", so like I'm like, oh, I get it, okay, at least most of the boob.
Right, I still needed a visual, and then I was like, is this sexy? Like, is someone really... no judgment. Some people are into things I'm not into. But I was like... there's just a face I was making. And like and like a golden retriever style, like, ear turn situation. So it broke me completely out of that scene to be like, wait, hold on. I have to fully... imagine this particular sentence. I had a wait, what?
Excellent. Well done, you. On a completely different topic, I want to talk about how Olive and Adam have the best taste in the Fast and the Furious movies. It's like one throwaway line in the book, but it's like the first thing they agreed on. And the movie they thought was the best one is the one I also think is the best one. So, which Fast and Furious movie do you think is the best one?
So, I've only seen the first one? Maybe?
Wow. Wow. Well, I know what your next summer break is going to be. It's going to be a slumber party at my house.
No, I have seen the trailers for all of them.
Oh God, why do you continue to wound me? Okay.
I'm sorry.
So they claim, as do I, that Fast 5 is the greatest Fast and Furious movie. And I can confirm this. This is confirmed. Our household is a Fast 5 household. But we've also come up with a theory and a way to remember all 9 movies. So, and we've given them all subtitles because they're all Fast and the Furious, The Fast, The Furious, Too Fast, Too Furious, The Fast. Like, you can't keep them straight just by name alone. So we've given them subtitles, and I thought I would share them with you all as a helpful aid. Great. Number 1, stealing DVD players. That's the whole plot. Number 2, Florida Man. Now, it's called Florida Man because at one point they're being chased down the highway in Florida by like 80 cop cars. And one guy throws a trident at a cop car, and it fries the computer, and the car flips and causes a huge 80 car pileup. So, Florida Man throws trident, causing 80 car pileup. So we shortened it down to Florida Man. Florida Man causes high-speed car chase just for cigar. Another subplot of that movie. So, number 2 is Florida Man. Number 3, Tokyo Drift Off. It's the most boring movie. You're going to fall asleep. Tokyo Drift Off. Number 4, Mexico Tunnels. Because they have to race through these tunnels dug under the Mexico-Texas border to, like, escape the bad guys. It's something else. Number 5, and the best and penultimate, is Safe in Miami. So they have to drag a safe down the streets of Miami, high speed, obviously. This is also the first introduction of The Rock So, chef's kiss. You could just start at 5, honestly. I really think so. 6, longest tarmac. So they're chasing a plane down a tarmac for like 15 minutes. It's the longest tarmac. The plane never takes off. Number 7, they jump cars from building to building in Dubai or somewhere. So like down a skyscraper, they're jumping these cars. It's insane. Number 8, submarine racing. They have to race a submarine before it escapes. That's right. That's right. And 9, I'm calling it Little Brother, but really it's Hot Wheels in space. Because they go to space.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like okay is the right response here. Before we take this break, I want to offer a sincere apology to Allie Hazelwood. Yeah, that we just did this to her book. I mean, not to her book, just next to her book. But
she opened this can of worms by putting in her book. Also, I gave a preface that I'm in a really weird mood. You guys should have known it was coming.
All right, well, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk some more about the love hypothesis
and some about Fast and Furious movies. Yeah. Okay, we're going to take an intermission right here. When we come back, we're going to break down our favorite moment from the book
and discuss our ratings and if this book made us want to get naked.
Please enjoy this message from one of our friends in the podcasting world.
And then that one time where I decided that we shouldn't have a break and I should just transition back and forth between the break logo and the no break logo. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I felt like I was waving to people as they were passing us on the... I don't know.
I think it was wonderful. So we are back and we are talking about The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood and not, as previously discussed, Fast and the Furious franchise.
Are you sure about
that? I'm not, because I just realized that I have some things to fill out on this part of the script that I never filled out. So
why don't I tell you what my theory is for the Fast and Furious 10 movie? No.
Why don't you tell me what your favorite moment in the book was?
Oh, okay, fine. I was really hoping you would start because I was really sort of uninspired with this question. Okay. So I have to say I really love how Olive was always starving and she was always eating, and there's never anything about her weight. There's no issue about that. Like, she was just a starving college student. I really related to that. She ate garbage. I really relate to that. So that's it. Do you need me to pad for time while you think?
No, I'm good. Okay. I'm good. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
I agree. I do agree that all of the food stuff, the cheap sushi really resonated when he was like, let's not eat this. And she's like, but it's all you can eat. Like, I did that. I did that quite a bit. And I have to say that I never got food poisoning from it. So props to all the cheap sushi I ate here, particularly while I was in grad school. I highly appreciate it. I think the cutest moment for me, and the favorite one in the book, is when they go to the lecture of Adam's best friend, and she's forced to sit in his lap by her friend who has clearly caught on to everything that is happening and is just making them uncomfortable for the sake of gleeful entertainment, is what I'm going to say. And that whole interaction with her sitting in his lap and him trying to find an appropriate but also tender way to touch her, that was really cute. I really dug that scene. It was adorable. I did not want it to end, and I felt the like soft, safe coziness of his embrace in that moment. So
yeah, I was going to put down the sunscreen scene, but like I don't know, it felt just like a tad bit forced. Like, who gives you this much sunscreen? Like 2 handfuls worth. That's like, I'm not gonna like, evil. It's evil. Is what it is. And On does that to Olive. So I don't know.
Having been on campuses with faculty members playing ultimate frisbee, it would be a nightmare, not a dream, to see them shirtless and in need of sunscreen. So I need to know what faculty members on what campus are
Stanford,
like
apparently
hot bod faculty, because reading that scene was so cringy for me, because it was like I just kept imagining people whose names and faces are in my head, and I just needed it to not be real.
Well, you had a lot of reactions to the collegiate parts of this book.
I very much did.
And because you work in academia.
Yeah. Yeah. So so a lot of the settings, and I have not been on the Stanford campus, so I couldn't place it there. So my brain placed it on campuses that I am familiar with, and all of them made me very uncomfortable to imagine shirtless professors, because none of the departments that I'm aware of, except for maybe kinesiology, have those types of professors.
Yep. I was gonna be like sports, and then I was like, no.
Yeah, kinesiology.
Coaches, or you're right. Yeah. Okay, great, excellent. Do you want to talk about your hot take, or do you want me to go first so you can think about it?
No, it's fine. I liked it. I thought it was cute enough. Some parts made me cringe, which is why I'm gonna say I didn't love it. I thought that the central premise was upsettingly old world. Like, he needs a girlfriend so he can have funding, and she needs a boyfriend because she can't honestly talk to her best friend, was a giant stretch for me. And I wished for a stronger central column for this thing. So I didn't love it, but I did think it was cute. So I would definitely recommend it as a lightweight read. It does have some heavier themes, and we put some content warnings, I know, in our review, and I imagine that the full publication has the content warning in there. So it does have some heavier topics mentioned, but mostly it's very, very fluffy. So
I liked it. I think I gave it 4 stars. And why I gave it 4 stars is this is the STEMmiest romance we've read. Like, there's so much science packed in there, and I'm like, I kind of know what the hell you're talking about, but like, they never explain what a Western blot is, but they talk about it.
I had to look it up. I looked up the Western blot, and then I was like, oh wait, I know what this is. I have done this before. I just didn't remember that it was called the Western blot.
Right.
That's why it's in our naked review, because I was like, wait, now that I've looked it up, I remember what it is.
Nice. I really liked that. I liked that she was a woman in STEM, and it was STEMmy as hell. Like, she is so full science-y. And there was a lot about the science, and I think it helps that Allie Hazelwood is a scientist. So she had that prior knowledge and that educational base to pull from. So
yes, hard agree on that. Absolutely, very, very STEMmy.
Yeah, 2 thumbs up and 1 glasses push.
Perfect. I know. My glasses are right here, and I was gonna put them on, but that felt like too much. Hold on. There we go.
Hey, there you are. Excellent. All right. Did this book make you want to get naked?
The sex scene is very steamy once they get back into it after their initial false start, I would say. Yes. I wish there was more. Like, there's a weird moment in the very beginning of the sex scene when he's like, wait, are you a virgin? And I was like, why would you ask that? Get off your weird horse, please. We don't care. Why aren't you asking her if she's comfortable with you and what you're doing, instead of asking her if she's a virgin? Because no, like, hard pass on answering that question. But like, once they get into it, it was sexy. I will admit that it was steamy, well done on that front. But yeah, I thought that like some of the messiness of that scene was very real and very wonderful, and some of it I was like, don't ask her that. You don't get to know that, not until she wants to tell you. So blah at you, blah. How about you?
I'm gonna say yes. I love a strong, tall, silent, smart, brooding type. A dark-haired type that could be described as Roy Kent. That's my go-to. Um, he never he never made Olive feel dumb. She had enough internal monologue making her feel that way. Like he was always pretty supportive of her when he realized that's what she needs. Because he was pretty emotionally dumb for a little bit of it. Like he was just hot for her brain. I think that's pretty sexy.
I agree. I do want to bring up the very end of the book, and I feel like we're far enough into the episode to where if you've stuck around this long, you've also read the book. Or
If you
you're
made it through the Fast and Furious tangent,
you're here for the
this.
whole thing. Yes. So the fact that he goes after at the end of the book, he punches a guy on her behalf, and it made me want to dump him.
Oh, sure. Okay. Tell me more.
It's not his place. It's not his place to defend her honor. What are we, in the 12th century? It is. He can absolutely be outraged with her and on her behalf. And he can absolutely ask her how he can support her in voicing her needs. But he doesn't do that. He goes off and growls and lifts the guy up by his...
growls through the whole book.
There's a lot of growling. I agree. There's a lot of growling. But it's just one of those things where I was like, no, this isn't sexy to me at all. I don't need you to flex for me. I need you to stand by me while I flex. That would be great. But that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And I didn't feel particularly turned on one way or another in that scene, except for when he said, "How dare you do this to the woman I love?" I was like, feelings. How dare you? Yeah, the physical nature of that wasn't the turn on. But I am more receptive to the alpha male chest beating than you are, so it makes a lot of sense that I'm a little more tolerant of it.
Yeah, I was like, I want none of that testosterone filled moment. I'm gonna need you to walk that off before you're anywhere near me, kind of a situation.
Excellent.
And I did appreciate that they de-escalate that moment before they talk about it, right? Like he cools off and then they have a conversation about it. They being Olive and Adam. And then yeah, so that part was nice that she was like, let's talk about it now, that you're not like crazy mad about it, which is great.
Right.
One of the other things that we have not talked about at all in this entire episode is his best friend, Carlos.
Yeah. I don't think his name is Carlos.
Are you sure? Now we're going to need to look it up.
I'm doing it right now. Can you sing some like holding music, please?
No, I can't. But okay, look up what his name is. But the
Holden.
No.
Holden is one of them.
Oh my gosh. Oh well, then I take whatever I said back. No, it's his best friend is wonderful. What's his last name?
Stand by.
Because he's
please continue singing.
Very good. I'm sorry. I'm just like stuttering and doing half sentences now. But he is Hispanic, right?
Latino of some kind?
Yes.
I don't remember. Do we actually learn?
I feel like yes. No? Oh my gosh. No.
It is Holden, and then her friend's name is Malcolm.
Right. I remember Malcolm, and Malcolm is really interesting too. And I wish Malcolm did get some time. I need the Malcolm Holden, and I did remember that. That is such a specifically J.D. Salinger reference that I can't believe I forgot that. Yeah, okay. So sorry, Holden, for calling you Carlos. Oh, now I feel extremely white and racist. So there we are.
It's because isn't that the main character's name from the American Dreamers 1?
Yes, it absolutely is. You
read these books like back to back, so
yes. No, I'm sorry. I also have to take that back right away. This correction parade is. His name was Ernesto, and he went by Nesto. He was not Carlos at all. None of them are named Carlos.
Let's just cut this whole scene. Cut all of us.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Disasters. Okay, in case you guys, like me, have read a bunch of books in a row, and your brain just like swirls them into a cocktail and then shows up with all men have the same name. That feels so rude. I am gonna just grovelly apologize right away for all side characters have the same name. My bad. Again, I'm like completely flabbergasted that Holden didn't stick in my brain. Anyways, but I want to get back to the fact that we have a gay best friend, but it isn't a big deal, and it isn't. I did not feel like he was tokenized in his existence.
Correct. Now, I got the feeling that Malcolm, one of Olive's best friends, was bi or pan.
Sure. I mean, yeah, the biggest thing we know about Malcolm is that Malcolm bakes.
And he hooks up with everybody.
And he hooks up with everybody, which is also great. Yeah, we don't, but there isn't really any kind of like the gay best friend.
Is it Holden Rodriguez?
Is that what? Oh, but that still makes me a terrible person who did a terrible thing. So I'm going to take the glasses back off. I don't deserve them.
Okay, fine. I'll take mine off too. Oh no, I look weird.
Put them back on then.
Put them back on. It is.
But I'm still sorry. I'm gonna blame it on your weird mood.
That tracks. That's appropriate. Yeah, I mean, you are the hugest fan of the gay best friend trope, and you will call out tokenization. So I agree. I really loved we don't really meet Holden until like Act 3 of the book, and then we really get to like the whole last quarter of the book is like the four of them. It's a delightful like found family situation.
Yeah, I just love that that he's a person who I wanted to know, though apparently I was going to get his name wrong, but he's a person I wanted to know and to apologize for my microaggressions to.
Yeah, well, he's a fictional character, so you'll have to hold on to that apology for a while.
I promise to do better and take better notes on fictional people's names. Real people, I promise to do better by without notes. Some of the time. It's just names. Names are hard, you guys. Names are super hard. Name tags are super helpful for me. Oh, I'm just having a terrible person day. I'm saying so many really terrible things.
I'm the kind of person where I don't learn a person's name unless I've seen it written down or told to me secondhand. Like someone can introduce themselves and I will not remember their name unless I see it written down like a name tag on a contact sheet, or somebody's like, oh, you know so-and-so? And I'm like, I do now. So like the way my brain remembers names, obviously not words written in books, that doesn't count, but like it's just really random.
Well,
learn the way your brain works, everybody.
That's the takeaway here. Learn the way your brain works. come to our
It's a
podcast
minefield.
for how to brain and how not to
Fast and the
human.
Furious conversations. Ha ha ha.
How to brain and how not to human and Fast and the Furious conversations. And on that
Right.
note,
Season 2 announcement. It's all fast, all furious, all the time.
I did not sign off on this.
Shit. Is this supposed to be a surprise?
Oh, wow. I am indeed surprised. I have a lot of homework to do. None of it is reading.
No, every episode, here's my pitch. Every episode, we watch and review a Fast and the Furious movie.
I think that's a different podcast.
Damn it. Fine, okay. Does anybody want to hear that podcast?
Let us.
We're gonna leave it for not another movie. They got it. They can nail that.
There you go. There we go. We'll just guess that on their podcast.
Yes.
That's the surprise.
We have an idea.
I have to apologize to Allie Hazelwood because we sidetracked from her book yet again. Anyways, read The Love Hypothesis. Let us know what you think. Did you remember the names of the characters? Did you think it was very sexist, or did you think it was super cute like we did?
Indeed. So are you, dear audience human, gonna pick up this book now that you've heard our review? Let us know in the comments. Have a suggestion for another review? Slide on into our DMs.
If you like this adventure in books or updates on our upcoming projects, please follow, like, save, subscribe, rate, review us on Instagram at l.skyford, on Twitch at lskyford, and on Twitter at skyfordl. Phew. I'm Sky.
And I'm Ford. That's it for this episode. We'll see you next time on Booklandia, where every book is a whole world to explore. And we're out.